G'day, legends.
Ooh.
It is Jai, that Aussie metal guy here with Crannk.com. So tonight, wherever you are in the world, it is with great pleasure that I'm getting to have a chat with Andy from IHLO, who are back with Legacy. It is the long-awaited follow-up from their 2019 debut Union, which absolutely ripped and got them praise all over the world. Andy, Phil, and Clark, they recorded, partly tracked at the Art Studios as well, which is a restored 140-year-old church, which sounds really bloody cool because it gave their drums a huge organic sound across 10 tracks. Legacy builds shimmering ambience with heavy rhythmic drive while lyrically casting a wary eye on a near future where technology serves profit over purpose. Andy, thank you so very much for getting joining me to get to chat about this album, mate. It's an absolute ripper.
Happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
Really bloody glad to have come across your music. I've been getting the PR for this latest album. It's an absolute ripper. It gave me a chance to dive into the Union. Your music is absolutely amazing. The whole ambience of it, the gravity of it, the size of it for a three-piece. And it's been 5 years since the
Mhm.
last record. Tell me a little bit about the process for this one. What was the single biggest change in how you approached writing this album compared with Union?
The single biggest change, I guess, was we wanted to spend some time. Hello, Phil.
Hey
Hang on, I can't
Phil,
hear.
we got you.
Uh,
You missed the intro. This is so classic ILO, honestly.
It's perfect. I was just asking Andy there was elaborating. Phil, thanks for joining us, my friend. Take your time with that. We were just talking about I was congratulating on Legacy and just saying 5 years between the last album. Looking back at the process for both of you since you're in here, tell me a little bit about the single biggest change you guys feel you approached during the writing of this album compared with Union.
We kind of had a better idea about what it is that we wanted to write for this album when we were doing Union. Obviously we were younger, we were very deep in the trenches of the music that we liked, and we were like, oh, it'd be cool to like have a bit of this, a bit of that, and everything. Not like borrowing, but just being like, we want to write some progressive metal music. This one, towards the end of writing Union, we had a much more defined sound, a more clear idea about what it is that we want to write, what felt more uniquely like us. So we want to expand on that and push it further and be like, right, what is our sound, and how can we keep developing it into our own thing?
There we go. G'day, Phil. The press notes say Legacy was written collaboratively and combined through remote work with studio sessions as well. Tell me a little bit about the workflow and kind of how it worked between the three of you guys to keep that collaborative process going, even though you were working remotely at times.
the entirety of the first album was done completely remotely, like
Oh,
completely,
wow.
completely. So we were already used to that way of working.
Yep.
It just needs to start with like uh some kind of idea, a chord sequence, a riff, maybe just a sound. Like I'm messing around with guitar pedals or messing around with synths, and it's like, oh, that's a cool sound. That's inspiring me to write this kind of melody. It can be anything, and then as soon as there's like a minute, maybe 2 minutes of something on my side, or a minute or 2 minutes of something on Andy's side, then we'll start sending stuff back and forth. Like, I've got this 2 minute bit. What do you think of it? And at that point, the idea can be stopped dead because if one of us doesn't like it, they'll just be like, I don't think there's anything there. I don't think there's anything in that. It's not inspiring anything for me. And then it's like, cool, put the idea in the bin. Try the next idea. It really has to go through both our gates, our sort of QA gates, to get to the next stage of development. So we're
Hmm.
quite we're quite harsh with ourselves. We're quite picky, and if it doesn't really satisfy both of us, then it's not going to be used.
Yeah, so tell me a little bit about, elaborate a little bit more on the guitar synth and the arrangements, because you guys
Mm.
feel you handle a lot of that as well. Tell me a little bit about balancing the textural and ambient elements with you guys, and also with the heavier, because you kind of do have these underlying real heavy
Yeah.
elements as well with these rhythm-driven parts.
Yeah, I think it's kind of a cop-out answer, but it basically just needs. You're right. There are so many different elements. There's loads of
Yeah.
atmospheric elements. There's loads of guitar stuff, loads of synth stuff. Andy does a huge amount of like weird, choppy affected stuff as well, which is like a lot of the really interesting textural stuff on the album. It just has to like pass the vibe check. There's no method to it. It just needs to oh this section needs something else. I'll try this synth and you'll put it on. And if it doesn't sound right, it's like, oh, that clearly it doesn't work. So there isn't really a sort of a method to it. It's just it kind of is throw as many things on as possible and
Hmm.
take out the stuff that doesn't work. And it does create this very sort of natural layered feeling kind of arrangement. Um, in general, I don't do too much like lead guitar writing stuff. If there's like a lead melody in my head, it's probably going to be a synth. It's probably not going to be a guitar. Um, and also at the same time, in general, if there's like a rhythmic part, that's probably not going to be synth. That's probably going to be the guitars and bass and drums. So I
Hmm.
don't really have like a rule set that I follow, but um, it just needs to feel right, and it just needs to sound like we want it to. Like Andy was saying, like we had this idea of what we should sound like,
Yeah.
and it just needs to sound like that. It's kind of inexplicable in a way.
Yeah, and Empire, I was watching that the video for that, and it was also the first single for this album you guys
Hmm.
kind of led in, and it's described as a track that actually kick-started the album. Can you take us back to that kind of moment that song arrived for you guys? Was it a riff, an idea, a groove? And how did that kind of steer the rest of the record, if it did at all?
Hmm. So technically, the first batch of songs that were written for the album were Replica and Har,
Oh,
but
yeah.
these were written like a long time ago, like just basically just after Union, bit of a gap, then Har, and then we kind of just sort of like stumbled a little bit for a while. We had some other priorities. We wanted to try some other things with music and everything, and we basically just had like a lot of little ideas in a lot of different directions and stuff. And then, yeah, I think Phil ended up coming up with basically the entirety of Empire in its demo form. And it was just like, boom, start to finish, it's a fucking banger. There you go. Uh, like it had the right tone, it had the right sort of heaviness. It just had all the little ingredients that was like necessary for what we wanted to keep pushing forward, you know?
I actually have a screenshot of Andy's message when I sent him the first demo. And the message is literally just like, oh fuck yes, like that is the message. I was like, okay, so that's how we know. Like we
It's
had
good.
Replica, we had
Yeah.
little bits of other demos, but like here's a whole new song, and Andy's like, yes, 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 that do that, and it was like, okay, so now this is the writing can continue for the rest of it. Yeah,
Yeah, there's no higher praise as a metalhead as fuck
exactly.
yes.
Fuck
Especially
yeah.
especially from like your bandmates as well, because it's I have so much respect for Andy's taste and what Andy knows is good and what and when praise comes, I hope when praise comes from me to Andy he feels the same way. But when I provide I submit a demo to the team and Andy's like, yes, that, I'm like, oh, this is I live for this feeling. This is great. Let's continue.
Yeah, and you did go to do a little bit of the recording and the work at the Arch Studios there. Tell me a little bit
Hmm.
about working over there. What was it like with the acoustics in the church? I've interviewed a couple of bands that have done some stuff in old churches, and the sound is just
Cool.
fucking amazing.
Um, the whole thing is like this, it's been this amazing like labor of love from Tom, who's like one of the owners there and everything, and the engineer. And it really does sound like absolutely fantastic. Like you go in
It
there
does.
and you can just feel it like when you're talking, like it's an old church. It's big, but it's been proofed, it's been treated properly. So you walk into that hall and it's not like hello, it's like hello, okay, this is controlled sound, and you get a really tight, punchy drum sound if that's what you want. But there's also so much space that, we can throw up 20 different microphones, which is what we did, and get as far of that sound as you want to, you know. It was a very fun week that one. We had a lot of like small tiny issues, like the power supply for the desk died, so we like lost an entire day, um, which like really added to the crunch. But yeah, it was like a totally different experience for us. Like none of us have ever recorded in that sort of environment before with someone who was so goddamn professional. And to finally hear like the results for it and everything, it was like fucking fantastic.
Yeah, and capturing like unexpected acoustics, as you said, not working in a place
Hmm.
like that, and capturing
Yeah.
those different sounds and being able to work things a little bit differently and kind of explore that sound and those acoustics in that environment.
And also the kind of player that Clark is, like he's so free form.
Yep.
He's so like play by feeling, play as it comes.
Yeah.
So we'd do like, five different takes and every single take would be completely different. But it was really cool to be able to be like that was really cool. Let's go with that. And it felt like because I do all my stuff at home, Andy does like the majority of his stuff at home. So I can sit there and I can refine and I can tweak and I can do it again and do it again and do it again. And then I end up with something that I'm happy with. But with Clark's playing, it's like we take whatever is the coolest, like in the moment thing. So there's kind of this difference between the like ridiculous perfectionism of what I'm
Hmm.
doing, and then the complete free form, freehand, whatever the hell Clark's doing underneath it, and it creates this really like uh I don't know, just it's a weird dichotomy sort of thing. It's interesting how those two things fit together.
Yeah, and the album does move tightly wound rhythmic propulsion and wide ambient passages as well. Tell me a little bit about those tempo arrangements as well, because it's just amazing to listen to you guys. And the more I've listened to it with the headphones, the more you pick up these little, tempo arrangements, the changes, the
Hmm.
shifts in sound, and the balance as well. Tell me a little bit about that side of things.
Uh it, if we wrote a song for this album which we dropped.
Yep.
One of the reasons that we dropped it was that it was 5 minutes, pretty much non-stop metal. Pretty much. There were no dips
Blast beats
in.
and everything.
Yeah, it
Yep.
was. It may come out, it may emerge in the future, but it was 5 minutes of like no break. And
Yep.
by the time you finish listening to it, you're like, I'm exhausted. This
Yeah.
this was too much. And I really appreciate a song that has a journey. Maybe it starts quieter. Well, let's be honest, most of our songs start quieter and then get really, really big at the end. But I really like it when there is like a very strong dynamic journey, and then maybe in the middle, like with Mute, for example, it'll strip back completely, do a weird spacey thing for 2 minutes, and then go really big at the end again. I think uh it takes you on a very natural journey, and I think that's what we want all of our songs to do. It can be difficult to sort of balance those elements, but it's kind of the same thing again of just like does it work? Does it pass? Do we listen to it?
Well,
Does it pass the vibe check? Does
do
it
you
make
have
us feel good?
tempo arrangements mapped, or does it dynamically kind of happen as you add the layers?
So, I mean,
Yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like, we've been preparing for our show recently, and so I've been
Yeah,
rejigging how the live backing track sessions work and everything,
yeah.
lining up all the click tracks and everything. And the way that I've set it up, I'm paying much more attention to the time signatures. Now, I said to Phil, I was just like, why is there so many like weird time signature changes in this that you can't really tell that are happening, but they are happening? It's just
Yeah.
like very subtle, like displacements of like where the downbeat is and everything. And then you just replied, you just said, well, you actually said something that I can't say. You said something along the lines of like, it's not all the spreadsheet, we just go with the flow. We don't stick to
Yeah,
the
I don't
grid,
know.
just move it around.
I don't really think about that sort of
But you
stuff
don't
when I'm
think about
writing.
it.
I'm
No,
just
it
no,
just
I don't.
happens.
It just happens. And
It happens.
actually a lot of this album was kind of conceptualized in Guitar Pro, which does force you to think about because Guitar Pro throws a fit if you don't have if you don't fill in the bars correctly and there's beats missing, it really doesn't like it. So it forces you to think about it a bit more. But when you're writing in like Cubase and you can just set the time signature to 1-1 and then you can just do whatever you want, it doesn't matter. You just if you
Hmm.
know, I'm switching between 7/4 and 4/4 and up, but I'm not really thinking about it. It's just what feels right. Um, and yeah, I think it's slightly more complicated than I give it credit for. Most of the complicated riffs are 4/4,
Yeah.
and the downbeat changes and the start of the repeated riff changes. But just listen to the snare and it'll keep you locked in. Like it's all just
Yeah.
4/4. It's
Yeah, it's all just moving around
deceptively
like that.
simple. Yeah.
I
So,
don't think there's any like big tempo changes within songs or anything. It usually like it starts at one tempo
Tempo's
and
pretty
that's what you're getting for the
consistent.
yeah,
next. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So, Andy, how do you approach vocal melodies within this densely arranged prog tracks as well? Because your vocals really shine as well all through this album.
Thank you. I really struggled with this one. Um, I just couldn't really I couldn't dip into the well as easily as I thought I could. So I was kind of panicking by the time it came to actually recording the vocals at the start of this year. I flew across to Belgium. I was like, I'm just going to take like a week. I'm going to go record with our good friend Andre, and we're going to fill in the gaps as we go. I had maybe about 70% of the stuff put together, but I wasn't really feeling confident about it. So I think I just needed to, I don't know, when I approach vocals, I just tried to look for a good melody and good phrasing. The lyrics come last to me. Like I had an idea of what I wanted the lyrics to do, but the way that I generally write them is that they're quite vague anyway, which allows me a lot of creative freedom for how I want to phrase things. You know, if I'm directly telling you a story, then it's much more difficult to phrase a coherent sentence like that. And I think that can be detrimental to the music and the melody and everything like that. So I approach it with phrasing and melody. And I think one of my strengths is like a decent sense of like melody and everything, so that helps a lot. And just building on top of that with like harmonies and like weird stuff
So
and
many
kind of
harmonies on
doing
this one.
so many harmonies, just doing what I think helps push the music forward, um, and just help bring it from like section A to section B in like a way that continues to build, you know?
Yeah, and then lyrically, the themes do touch on the future themes and all sorts of stuff, and
Hmm.
technological progress as well, profit motives as well. Tell me a little bit about some of the themes that kind of inspired you lyrically for this one, man.
Capitalism.
Yes.
Capitalism, consumerism. I don't know. It's a mishmash. Like I've seen a couple of people who do reviews and stuff talking about how like they feel like they don't get much of the whole concept thing coming through in the lyrics, and I agree with that. And it was
Yeah.
also deliberate because one, well, the main thing first of all is that it does have these sort of thematic things about like, ooh, technology bad and everything, but it is also like secretly a bit of like a conceptual narrative about this guy who's like living in this world and everything, and he's got this evil chip in his brain and stuff, and it's making him like hallucinate. Like I invented ChatGPT in this story before ChatGPT was a thing. And it's in all of us. That's going to be the next step, right? And
Oh,
ultimately it leads him to hallucinate basically and like go and just have a very long swim in the ocean as far away from like the rest of technology. And I think a lot of that came from like me just getting a bit older, being quite disgruntled with like the systems of the world, kind of wanting to try to disconnect a little bit from like the technology of the world and everything, because I spend so much time with computers and systems and everything. And during the pandemic, I spent a lot of time like outside, enjoying forest and trees and beaches and things like that. So I think a lot of that just kind of like bled in, like the sort of like the escapism of wanting to be away from that whole awful machinery clad world, and everything like that.
oh, yeah, we do kind of feel
I
that at
think I think
times.
just to add to that, just to give Andy more praise, I think
Yes.
nearly every single song you can interpret in multiple ways. Like I think because they are vague and they are abstract and it's very like poetic and very flowery language. I think like Cenotaph, I think you can listen to that and interpret it as like a breakup song. Or you could interpret it as it was intended, which is like the planet dying, the end of the planet, rather than the end of a relationship. But you can interpret it in whatever way fits for you.
Yeah,
Song
I
like
think so.
Mute as well. Like I think, especially those first lines, like for the first time in forever, I feel awake. It can be so many things. It could be mental illness. It can be like starting a new medication. It can be like your mental health improving. It could be like you're transitioning, like it can be relevant to so many things, and because it's so vague but so like poetic, you can just hear whatever you need to hear in it, and
Yeah, I don't ever want to
it's
be
such
preachy.
yeah.
Isn't that the sign of a good album, though, for it to be kind of vague and subjective, each listener to kind of
I
get
think so.
something out of it as well, kind of listen to that album and go, kind of draw their own conclusions. Yeah, it's great to have some good, there's some great concept albums and there's great for artists to take you on that journey. But for a really good
Hmm.
prog album, I find you can get just to get lost in the album and the journey with the artist as well. And I find
Yeah,
my mind going on,
Yeah,
like, especially
yeah.
with Signals, as that 10-minute track finishes, dude, like you find yourself like in these really good albums at moments, just getting lost in the music, the lyrics and the vocals are all there, but you just get lost in the whole music of it all at times. And
yeah.
you find your thoughts going into different places. And that's a sign of a really great album, kind of what you guys have delivered here.
Thank you.
Completely
Thank
agree.
you.
Yeah, I love that kind of stuff. I think especially when it's vague, I've been like
Yeah.
very drawn to like more abstract, vague stories that don't have like a conclusion, but just like the feeling of whatever you've just consumed like sits with you, and you're like, I don't think I really understand that, but I'm gonna think about it some more and see if I can. So yeah, it's I think that's exactly the kind of thing we wanted to create. Just get you lost in it and sit with the story and sit with the sounds and see how it makes you feel. So yeah.
So you did touch on Andy. He's preparing for some live shows. You must be really keen to get out there and kind of play this. Is this kind of first show since the album's dropped? And tell me what's
Hmm.
going on the live front for you guys.
When is this airing? I suppose it should be fine actually, shouldn't it? So we're
It should be fine.
playing yeah, it'll be fine. We are playing a now sold out show in London this weekend, September 20th. Um, that was kind of like a last minute deal for us. We weren't actually thinking about playing any more shows this year. We just wanted to get all of this done, take a break, and then prepare for next year. But life will not allow for that. We wanted to capitalize on the good reception, pre-release that we were getting with the album. We thought we should probably try to do something with this, just keep it all going. Because there's only so many times that we can like take pictures from our bedrooms and being like, "Oh, album's coming out." We need to like actually be out there and do something. And now that the album's out, we're playing at Euroblast in Germany next week on the 27th. We've very kindly been asked to fill in for a band that's come out of it just now, so that's a pretty big deal. Just off the back of the album coming out and the good reception, we've been offered that. But aside from that, nothing else just now. We just kind of do our thing where, like, at the moment, for a long time, we've been waiting for sort of offers to come to us because we live so far apart. We don't play shows regularly. It's difficult for us to just get together this weekend and then go do this or go do that. It has to be like a big logistically arranged thing to like really make it work. It's expensive. Playing shows is expensive. Going on tour is expensive. What else can you do?
Yeah, that's where it comes down to the fans getting behind their bands and supporting and jumping over to K-Scope Records and kind of
Yeah.
buying these
Yeah.
albums. The
Yeah.
vinyls look
Yeah.
sweet. We got to get around and support the scene. Like everybody has to get together and keep buying albums, doing what they can. It's like, yeah, stream it all over the place, but go buy the fucking albums. The vinyls look amazing. If you're over
Hmm.
that way, guys, go catch ILO live. Andy, Phil, this has been an absolute pleasure digging into Legacy as well with you guys. As I mentioned, everybody go grab the vinyls, CDs. They are out there. Stream it, go buy it as well. You can grab Bandcamp and all sorts of places like that. The digital quality is amazing. Guys, this has been an absolute pleasure. Last words, shout outs, thank yous are all on you.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you
you
very
very much.
much.
Yeah, for
Thanks for
sure.
having us.
Absolute pleasure, guys. Cheers.